Yeah, we're going to return to our main story this morning. A man is in police custody in hospital in New York after 8 people were killed and 11 injured in what's been described as a terrorist attack. Well, we can speak now to Arash Aramesh, who's a US national security expert and foreign policy analyst. Thanks for joining us this morning, Arash. What are your thoughts on this attack then? It was very quickly linked to being connected to so-called Islamic State. What are your thoughts on that?
Certainly a very tragic day in New York. This was the worst terrorist attack since 9/11 in New York City. Having said that, New York is a very strong city. It's a very diverse city. It's a center of our commerce, and it represents some great American and New York values. From the face of it, we can tell that this was a poorly organized and a poorly planned attack. For the most part, most signals indicate that this was a lone wolf inspired by ISIS. There's very little planning or organization coming from ISIS Central, let's say from Iraq or Syria for that matter. And luckily, because of his amateurish actions, it took 8 lives, not more. Having said that, even 1 life is too many. And unfortunately, we saw the innocent lives of 8 people lost yesterday. But when I quickly go over a few indicators that sort of stand out. First and foremost, he was driving down southbound instead of northbound. If you look at the highway he was going on, there is much more heavy foot traffic on the northbound. So if he wanted to actually maximize casualties, he would have gone the other direction. He was going down southward, thankfully. Secondly, for about a month now, ISIS has been putting out publications talking about how easy it is to get guns in the U.S. Unfortunately, that is the case. Even some deranged individuals can go purchase weapons, as we saw, for instance, last month with the attack in Vegas, where the attacker had access to multiple assault rifles and hundreds of rounds of ammunition. So, but in this case, this individual, Saifullah Saipov, failed to actually obtain a single firearm. He had 2 weapons. One was a BB gun, the other one a paint gun. But if you're going into this sort of an attack and you bring a fake gun or a paintball gun or a BB gun with you, you're telling us that you want to be shot. It's kind of, suicide by cop. So he was planning not to come out of this alive. Thankfully, he is alive. We do have a live suspect in custody, very similar to what happened in Boston. This can shed a lot of light for us into sort of the mindset of this sort of individuals and how they get radicalized and their operations. And that's a big if, and if there is any operating cell here in the U.S. operating, well, this individual can shed some light because, again, we do have a live suspect and he's not dead.
OK, Arash Aramesh, thank you very much for your time there this morning. A story we will continue to follow throughout the morning and on the news channel, of course.